G'day jabronis, it is the Verd, back with you again. Welcome here to some more TCG content. Today, basically going to be starting my prep for Players Cup. Basically, it's going to be looking over a bunch of different decks throughout the week, or the next couple of weeks, to assess what I think is the best choice for the Players Cup finals that I'm in. Top 16 in the world. So I got to, take this seriously. I do apologize for not sounding 100%. I woke up feeling a bit crook. I thought it was just hay fever because it's spring in Australia right now. I do get hay fever pretty bad, but then I just kept sneezing after taking a hay fever tablet. So I'm thinking it might be a cold. It's not the worst time to get a cold because I've already had a COVID test, so I know that I'm clear. And we're currently in lockdown in South Australia for 6 days, so I should get over it easily in that time. I don't think it's anything that bad. I've just taken some meds. I'm going to sound a bit huskier than usual, but I should still be able to get through this video good. So what you're looking at here is the Eternatus list that I feel the most confident with going into this next meta. So I know I said in the end of the Players Cup recap video that I felt the Poison Eternatus was the way to go, and that running the Weak Guards and the Hiding Darks was the way. However, a lot of the ladder right now is littered with Crushing Hammer, and that is the bane of Poison Eternatus, that it just loses Crushing Hammer. So what I'm trying out today is saying, what if I can play Poison Eternatus, but with Turbo Patch, so that, we can fix up that issue. I'm very iffy on if I want 9th Dark Energy or 3rd Dark City. I feel like 8 Dark Energy is just too low of an energy count. But I also don't feel super confident on 2 Dark City, especially with Galarian Slowbro, especially without Hiding Dark. So I think for the sake of this, we are going to try an 8-3 spread, which might be a bit risky because it's a very low energy count. But the plus side is, compared to my Players Cup list, you don't have to go as fast with this variant. You can quite easily just poison something with Slowbro, set it up for a knockout on the next turn, and you should still be okay. So we're basically using the poison package as well as regular Eternatus. So Slowbro, with its ability Rapid Fire Poison, if it's in the active spot, you can poison your opponent's active Pokemon. And then these Toxicroaks, with a more poison ability, put 2 more damage counters each poison checkup. So with 3 Toxicroaks in play, you are dealing 70 poison damage. And that means then that a Eternatus can one-shot another Eternatus. You can basically one-shot everything that doesn't have big charms, any modifiers like that. Your Luke Metal Zacian matchup's a lot more favored. You do have to hope you can Marnie them out of their Malolanas, but also you do run the Sableye, so if they have that existing damage and they're having to Malolana instead of Gust and kill the Sableye, then you've got a way in there, which is pretty solid. I really do think Turbo Patch is one of the clutchest cards for Eternatus. You could definitely run this with Rose instead, but I really like the fact that you can Turbo Patch onto Sableye, as well as even something like Slowbro. Being able to Tripping Shot and prevent them from retreating, so if they don't have a Switch or a Malolana in hand, so if you Marnie and then Tripping Shot, it could actually be quite good and set up a really easy KO that they might not be able to reciprocate. I also like not running any of the special energies, because then Zamazenta has nothing to discard. So they're just relying on Crushing Hammer flips, which obviously with the Turbo Patch, you're designed to overcome. It's the exact same trainer line as what I normally run, just replace the 3 Power Plant with 3 Dark City, and then the Pokemon line used to be, 3 Goon, 3 Tomb, which has changed now to 4 Krogunk, 3 Toxicroak, and then I had to remove 2 of the Darkness Energies, one to accommodate a Krogunk, and the second one to accommodate a Slowbro, and then I also took a cut from somewhere else. Was it a Pokemon line? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else I cut from this list. But it's pretty much, it's a very straightforward list. I will say that it's going to be interesting with no Hiding Darks, and also because a lot of decks are running Swell. So I might not be able to get off Slowbro as much as possible, but I can also just use switches, which aren't too bad. Not running Hiding Dark could be a bit sketchy, but I honestly feel like the deck still has a decent place in the meta. I think it's good right now, purely because people are finding Coalossal not as good as they were expecting it to be, which is great. Initially, I thought Coalossal was going to be much better, but it's kind of flopped. So this Poison variant might have legs with Turbo Patch, and it just needs the Turbo Patch to be able to deal with things like Pikarom, and Luke Metal especially. Any kind of energy disruption. So, not the greatest hand, but it actually isn't too bad. We open with Eternatus plus Energy, which I'm a huge fan of. Double Quick Ball is a bit of a yikes. I think what I want to do here is Quick Ball away a Darkness Energy so that Turbo Patch is immediately live, and then get a V, and then just attach to it and pass. I think the rest of the hand we can work with next turn. We can Quick Ball away the P-Com, or if we top deck a Pokemon, do that, and then I Quick Ball away the Marnie, switch into Eternatus, and then just go ham. So this is a pretty solid hand. I don't want to take any more risks than that. Looking from my opponent's deck box, I want to assume we're up against like a Baby Blounds kind of situation here, which could be scary. The trick to beating Baby Blounds is just consistent Marnie. Also, with Dark City in play, we can poison a Blound, and then we can go from there. They are welding onto Jirachi, which tells me that they are hunting for any kind of fire Pokemon to bench. It is Center Scorch. Okay, so this is a favored matchup for us, purely because with the poison, Eternatus can one-shot Center Scorch, but Center Scorch struggles to one-shot us. Now, the big thing they want to try and find this turn is Volcanion plus a switch, because they have just welded one onto Jirachi, but they could still find another Fire Energy in hand, which I'm guessing is what my opponent's trying to hunt for now. It will put a lot of Fire Energy in play and could be kind of scary, because I'd then also be at the mercy of a potential Heatran. So, definitely got to be wary of where my opponent is. They choose to attach though to the Center Scorch, so this is pretty solid for us. Not a whole lot going on from them, so we can definitely capitalize. There's a Turbo Patch, which I definitely will just try and use right now. We do fail it, but that's okay, I think. My opponent doesn't have a great hand, so I'm kind of iffy on mining them out of it. So I may... Well, I definitely want to get the Eternatus. I definitely want to Crobat here. So I think what I want to do is get rid of the Marnie. I'm going to hold the P-Com and then Crobat. For sure. That seems to be the play. Because any Pokemon I hit can just turn into... Oh, well, I already got the VMAX already, so that's great. We got the Dark City as well. We got the Energy and the VMAX. We have enough for Knockout here, which is all that I really need. Yeah, that's enough for Knockout. I had enough already for Knockout. I don't think I want to play the Marnie. I think my opponent only has one Center Scorch in play. Not the biggest threat. I think it's just fine to Dread End here and force my opponent to maybe dig through their deck a bit more before committing harder. We just take the one prize. Another Dark Energy is good because if they go for the initial attack, which is Radiating Heat, then we have a immediate response to that, which is nice. I may have to like blow my nose through parts of this recording, and if I do, I am so sorry. It is just purely me wanting to, you know, breathe properly and not have my nose dribble while I'm recording. So we see another Center Scorch in play. Could see the VMAX come down, but this is where Slowbro could be deadly. The only thing I didn't do this turn, which would have been better, but it's not going to matter, I'm not going to get punished for it, was trying to set up my Toxicroaks, which I didn't do. We top deck another Darkness Energy, which is great. And then I think we're definitely going to Marnie now, because our goal here is to try and set up enough of a bench to get a knockout, which we might be able to do. It's going to be pretty close. We need 7 Pokemon. We currently have, this will be 6, so I need 1 Pokemon off this Crobat to acquire knockout, which we get with the Quick Ball, so that's great. So we'll get rid of the Research, and we'll get another Krogunk, and that will secure us the knockout here, which is really, really good, and puts us in a super favourable position now. Looks like my opponent's definitely been dead drawing. I would not be surprised if we see them scoop very soon. There's a Toxicroak, which is fantastic. Haven't seen a switch yet, which would be really nice to capitalize with the Slowbro. They could evolve now, and I'm going to potentially be able to just one-shot them if they do. I could go for that. I don't even hate going for that. Dead-A change here. Fair enough. They could definitely welder onto the Senti and half hit us, which could be scary. I kind of wish I also had another Center Scorch that I could put on the bench that was in my hand. Like potentially drawing a P-Com to get rid of this Krogunk for one. Just because obviously I don't want us to get 2 hit and then have nothing left to attack with. That would be pretty unfortunate. The other thing, well actually I don't mind. Even if they have Stadium Bump here, I obviously am holding another one. The downside would be if they had Stadium Bump as well as Reset Stamp. That could be a little bit annoying, but it looks like that's probably not going to happen. They're just going to Goss, get their Welder back. We are not, I believe, in danger of knockout from here. which is super nice. They may even world it to the bench one, yeah, because they know they can probably two-shot us with a regular Sirfetch'd from here. Yep, that should do enough, and then it's like one more attachment next turn, and they have knockouts. So let's see if we can get there. The PCOM is the exact top deck that I wanted, like I said. Definitely want to try and use as much in this hand as possible. I think I am more likely to draw into an Eternatus just usually. Yeah, I have 3 left in deck. How many Dark Energies left? 2 plus Patch? Yeah, I like those odds. So we're going to grab Croak here. The reason being is because what I'm going to attempt to do, since Dark City's in play, is just say to my opponent, well, if I top deck a switch, then I win. What I will do is actually just attach to this Crobat maybe. This gives me a contingency plan, because I can always swing into this for maximum damage if I have to, but all I'm looking for here is a switch and we win the game, guys. So we do see the switch, so that is gonna do it. We will just, I guess, bench this Eternatus and attempt to turbo patch to it. Just give us another... I mean, there's no contingency plans required now. I believe the game is done. I've done my math correctly. It is at 320, so if we switch into our Slowbro, we can then Rapid Fire Poison, and due to Dark City's effect, we can retreat for free, back out to our VMAX, and we can 6-0 the Center Scorch player. So, pretty convincing game. Obviously, my opponent looked like they bricked a fair bit, and our deck was able to just consistently pump out the damage required. Definitely would have, in like a closer matchup. Oh, there we go. We got a nice little objective there that I was achieving too. The old double whammy. I think that in other matchups, if your opponent sets up faster, you definitely want to prioritize. Like I would have Mani'd if they had more of an established board. Just so that I could try and get some Croagunks into play, so if a VMAX did come down, I always had the avenue to knock it out. So the magic number for Senti is usually want 2 Croagunks in play, but you can go with 3, purely because they might run something like Big Charm. So mulligan for us, which kind of sucks. This is a really good hand if that was an Eternatus V, but no big deal. I'm not too fussed by giving up a mulligan here. I think we should still be able to handle it a-okay. Don't have to open the Crobat, which is nice. We can open the Eternatus V. I believe I'm going second, but I can't remember. I may have won the coin toss already and chose to go first. It's all a blur. Okay, so we're up against ADP. This is a pretty solid matchup for us. We do open with the ideal situation as well, which is nice. So we're going to get the Great Ball off here. Definitely want this Slowbro. That was the ideal situation I'm talking about. So we definitely want Slowbro. We definitely want the Slowbro in the active here, because we definitely need to Rapid Fire Poison this ADP. And what that's going to do for us is it means that if I can get a full bench on my next turn, I'll be able to knock his ADP out, which is pretty massive. So I'm going to discard the Marnie here to grab a Croagunk. And then I'm going to Crobat. And we'll go from there. Because this matchup just comes down to a race at the end of the day. Dark City's good, but I don't want to waste it straight away. Crobat's also good. I can probably afford to hold this hand and pass. So the 10 on the ADP is huge. It means now I just need to get the VMAX rolling. I have the Dark City in hand to retreat that Slowbro. If I'm playing against like a regular version of ADP, they shouldn't have things like Swell. The worst stadium they would have is Forest, and Forest for me right now would actually be amazing. I could Forest away the boss and get the energy I need. I could P-Com if I needed to. You see the Metal Saucer, could see the E-Switch play, so they could get off the AC straight away, but I think if they do, we are in a position to come back and win. Another play I could have made, which I kind of regret, is that I could have P-Com'd back this Crobat just to play around more Wild GX. But I just got a Intrepid Sword, so this is looking like it's going to be a pretty good turn for us. So this ADP is weakened. We top deck the energy, which is amazing. So what I want to do here is I want to P-Com back the Crobat here, so that I can grab VMAX out for sure. We get the VMAX down. We want to play the Dark City. We want to Quick Ball away the boss to get to our Crobat. And we're just looking now for another 4 Pokemon to put on our bench to put us in a commanding position. And we have 2 of them right there and 2 more that we can hopefully acquire through our Professor's research. So we're going to go here. We just need to see 2 basic Pokemon. And... oh, okay, we don't have it just yet. We need this Great Ball to hit a basic. And it does not hit a basic. No, we have Toxicroak. This is fine. He's taking enough poison damage now to where if I bench this Slowbro, that will be enough to get the knockout with Dread End. I forgot that I had benched the Croak, so that will be a knockout for us. Because he takes 30 between turns, so that is huge. We've taken a knockout and our opponent has not altered Creation, so I believe that's just game. I don't think they really have much they can do now to stop an Eternatus. Even if they use Zamazenta, we have the Sableye. Chilling on the bench, that big charm will do nothing for them. We do see the Clay come down, Clay DP. Not really the best variant of the deck, honestly. It's pretty lackluster. I believe this one is just done. The matchup goes pretty straightforward of if they alter Creation, you have to respond straight away with the Dread End knockout. And if you do, it is a race to say who can take 2 knockouts first. And since they did an AC on their turn, we've just got the game pretty much wrapped up here, which is good. It's another win. So just showing off the power of the deck again. I just think that people keep trying to run all these different techs and stuff, but I just feel like the most consistent, straightforward versions of the lists are what are going to work the best. My opponent could just go double E-switch here and then get off the Alter Creation. That could be kind of cool. Even if they do, I do have a switch into Slowbro. And they would have scooped anyway. Yeah, I had switch into Slowbro basically guaranteed there to steal up the game if I had to. So I reckon we'll hunt for maybe 1 or 2 more games here. We've kind of breezed through these first 2. I wouldn't necessarily say that second game was my opponent bricking. That was just ADP not hitting the turn 2 AC, which is not actually as common as people think it is. It doesn't always happen on turn 2. So that's why going first is crucial. Going first, you don't even need to get off the Slowbro poison. You can afford to do it on the next turn, which is why we got lucky we were able to do it straight away, but it didn't matter if we did it or not. So this is a pretty solid hand again. We can comb away the Croak to get the Eternatus. We've got the Crobat to see some more cards. And we are up against Umbreon Darkrai. It could be a Dark Box. Maybe focusing on something like Hydreigon could be interesting. We see a Sneasel to move some energy around, so I am thinking we've got Dark Box here. I want to see a Dano. Oh, we see Eternatus. So, interesting choices. This gives off so many prizes though, which is the only concerning part, right? So our play is definitely going to be attempting to Power Accelerator and go from there. Not the most ideal hand to Power Accelerator with, but we'll see what happens here. Turbo Patch is not a good top deck, especially when I'm trying to Crobat. This could be a bit of a yikes. We're going to see what happens. For some reason my internet also is being really slow. Not sure why. So we're going to grab Eternatus for sure. We're Crobating for 3 here, and we're really just hoping for another Pokemon that I want to actually be able to Power Accelerator onto. And an Energy, which is asking for a fair bit. Or a supporter of some sort. That's just not the supporter we want. This is pretty rough, guys. We get another Krogunk. We don't really need the other Krogunk. None of this feels great. This is a pretty bad hand. I'm going to retreat into my Crobat. And I'm going to pass because the 2 Krogunks could be useful. We will pretty much just lose if my opponent has Boss plus the VMAX, which they've got the VMAX. They probably have the Energy. They are going to switch first though. And then attach the Energy, probably to Crobat and see some more cards. They need a bench of 8. Sorry, they need a bench of 7. 8 Pokemon in play to kill the Eternatus right now. Unless they run Zigzagoon. A lot of energy goes into the discard, which is interesting. We see a Sableye as well, so they must be running like red and blue or something. That is enough Pokemon in play to knock out my Crobat. Okay, so this is a very interesting turn we enter into now. There are a lot of good cards that I can top deck here that put us into a strong position. So I'm hoping I can find one of them. So we'll see what happens. That is not one of them, so we are going to concede this game very quickly. Unfortunately, the deck there just happened to brick like our Center Scorch opponents did, and there's not really a whole lot that we can do when that happens. But you know what? It is the nature of the game. Not mad about it at all. It's why I also like best of 3 format more than obviously playing on the ladder, because you can afford to have a bad game, it's not going to be the end of you. If you can bounce back in the other 2 games and you know your deck is consistent enough to bounce back in those other 2 games, then there's no problem, right? So it's a pretty good starting hand. It really just depends on whether I'm going first or second, because I can honestly never remember what I see when it happens. So I think I'm going second, and I am. Alright, so we're second against ADP, which is good. Power Accelerator will put him in range. His Mawile completely fails. That was a very preemptive use of Mawile. I understand why he did it, but still. So this is a pretty favourable turn for us. The top deck is also very, very nice. So we definitely want to get another Eternatus into play. I think we definitely want to research this turn. So I'm going to quick ball away the Marnie because it doesn't matter which one I choose. And I think I want to Crobat now because I'm going to be researching anyway. It's just about seeing as many cards as possible. Definitely like an energy here is ideal, because what the energy means is I don't have to... I kind of do have to overcommit this turn though. My plan is like I would have preferred holding this energy and then using it, but unfortunately I have to research purely because I want to get more Pokemon in play, because I really want to accelerate to this knockout. Now we do get a Turbo Patch here, which could be nice. We do get the Turbo Patch off, which is super good. And then I think I just want to try and get a Croagunk into play so I can play out this hand. Maybe not. Maybe getting Crobat is better long term. I do have a Marnie though, so I'm going to get rid of the boss to get a Croagunk. I may regret this, I'm not sure. We are going to Power Accelerator. And we are going to attach this here. And we're going to see what my opponent can do. So in my hand, I can basically play my entire hand out and then Marnie. If I top deck a Quick Ball, then I can just go Crobat, and that's pretty good. Yeah, there's lots of... He's going to Marnie me, which I'm totally fine with. There are a lot more outs that I can find now for my opponent Marnieing me. So we're just going to see what we get. So it's okay-ish. Dark City is very good. Dark City is very, very good. Croagunk top deck is decent. Unfortunately, this turn does come down to how good this Great Ball hits. I definitely think I need to grab like a Crobat off of it. We do see a Crobat though, we get very lucky. So we can go Dark City, bench Sableye. We cannot bench both Croagunk and that, so I think I have to try and gun for this knockout though. So I think I have to Crobat here and hope I hit like Research or Marnie. I hit neither, which is not great. I do still have Boss, which I guess is something. I've already used Crobat this turn. So I can evolve into the VMAX. I can Boss and kill his Mawile, but then if he just has a Boss in his hand, it's pretty unfavorable. I think we roll with it. So I'm going to retreat into the VMAX. So I don't believe we have enough in play to get Knockout at this stage. Let me think. I definitely don't, because this has 250 left. I could almost do it if I just got 10 damage more on this thing. Like if I had a Zigzagoon in my deck, then I'd have it. And would probably win. But I don't, so we're going to play it safe. Just gust that up. We are going to Quick Ball away the Darkness Energy to get the Slowbro in play, I think is the one at this stage. Get the Slowbro into play, because that will be enough Pokemon for Knockout on this Mawile. I think I already had enough Pokemon for Knockout, but I'd rather have the Slowbro in play. It's definitely not ideal, the situation, because it is still a race now of the 2 knockouts, but I need to, next turn, Marnie my opponent out of Boss. So they play Crushing Hammer. It's pretty nasty. Luckily, I do have the Turbo Patch, which is kind of nice here. He's just Ultimate Raise the Active, though, so that's pretty good for us. Definitely got a chance to just win straight away here, because we top deck the Research too, which is pretty nuts. So we are going to Turbo Patch purely because I'm just going to Research. I could Crobat, but I don't want to risk it, knowing that all I really need to win this turn is like a Toxicroak and an Energy. It is much safer just to Research this hand away. There's our Energy, and there's our Toxicroak. So I believe we have everything, because Croak does an extra 30, and I just need to bench one Pokemon, which I can do. I think as long as this hits a Pokemon, which it does, then we're good. I will just pick Another Krogunk. Pick a Krogunk. I believe we just comb away this guy to grab Toxic Croak. We go Croak, Evolve, and they just scoop. Yeah, because that's game. So yeah, that I think should be close to enough. You know, I'm going to play it out. I want to evolve 3 more Pokemon. We've only been recording for like 25 minutes. I think we can go for a bit longer. That win streak should be a bit better, but obviously not much you can do when you do have those unfortunate bricks every now and then in your games. We can try and bounce back from this though, obviously. And like, it's going to happen, right? You are going to have those poor games. And the worst part I think about that game was that I was playing against a more inconsistent list, but they weren't punished for it. And that was annoying. But we might have another mirror match here, because I do see Eternatus sleeves over there. Not a great opening hand. I mean, if the Great Ball finds Eternatus, then it's manageable. For sure. So that's going to be our option here, I think, is hoping that we find Eternatus off the Great Ball. Which we do not. We get the Krogunk, though. We want to bench as much as possible here. I can't afford to attach, which means I have to switch into the Krogunk. And then bench the Crobat and hope that the 2 cards I find, one of them could be an Eternatus. It is an Eternatus. So I think I get rid of the energy because I can always Turbo Patch. We grab the Eternatus for sure. We go Eternatus, attach an energy, bench a Krogunk, and pass. And that feels okay. Not enough Krogunks in play to knock out a VMAX just yet, but next turn we can evolve our VMAX. They put the Dark City in play for us, which will make things much easier. And what it comes down to here is, like, are they going to Marnie us out of this hand? It is a pretty low hand, so they are going to choose to research. They didn't have the Marnie anyway. But my opponent is looking, I guess, for a target for their Eternatus' Power Accelerator. We obviously will be able to get the immediate knockout. They are also running Poison. So the big number here, really, that I'm worried about is whether my opponent can bench 3 Krogunks this turn. If they can't, I don't feel super concerned. But if they can, and they can't now. So they physically can't. So I'm feeling pretty good. They're just going to Power Accelerator onto the other Eternatus, and I'm feeling okay. So because the Dark Season play, this is good. PCOM, pretty dead top deck, but that's fine. We're just going to evolve into Eternatus, and then we are going to Marnie this hand away. Hopefully hitting a Crobat off the Marnie would be ideal. We do get that Crobat, and we get the energy. So this is a very, very clean turn for us. We get energy onto here. I believe we have enough Pokemon for Knockout as well, which is super nice. That is exactly enough Pokemon for Knockout, which is clean. And unfortunately, fortunately, if we find one more Krogunk off of this, then we're just absolutely cheering. This is insane. So this Krogunk is great because it means that now if I find all my Toxicroaks next turn, I can one-shot a VMAX, which is kind of huge. So all I have to do now is to switch into my VMAX and then go for the Dread End for Knockout. My opponent physically cannot reverse knock me out, and I can also just boss up his Crobat and Slowbro over the next 2 turns and win that way as well. Only tricky part might be finding energy, but at the same time I can just research next turn. And it's not even that bad. I can just switch into my Slowbro, get some Poison Chip. It's also really important to do the Slowbro Poison Chip and then swing, because if I even have just like 2 Croaks in play, it's enough damage to where they are forced to try and find a switch card. And they've just wasted, I believe, 2 of them already, which is pretty rough. Like, they're going to evolve. We're going to take a chunk, but it's not enough to kill me, and I have the outlets to switch. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's a good amount of damage, right? But it's not enough damage. Top deck is pretty lackluster, but that's okay. So we definitely want to thin this hand out as much as possible. So my opponent has already wasted 2 switches. I currently have wasted... I'm going to be wasting a lot of my switches right now, but it's for what I'd like to call a power play. Which, like, the simplest power play here is to switch into my Slowbro, get rid of that poison, we Quick Ball away an Eternatus for another Pokemon that isn't required for the rest of this game, like an Eternatus. So we have 2 of our Croaks in deck. We want to try and find those. We have a lot of outlets to get them. So I'm going to grab this Eternatus, and then I'm going to research this hand away. And we are going to try and hunt for some Toxicroaks, because they are super crucial here, and there they are. Cool. So double croak is very well received here. We do find Turbo Patch. We actually didn't find energy, so this Turbo Patch is a little bit important. I also made a mistake of evolving straight away, I guess. How important is this energy right now? My opponent's down how many boss? Just one. Kind of misplayed there. Oh, this could cost me. I don't know. We'll see. It could be bad, but I think it'll be okay. We're going to rapid fire poison. So, okay, I think this is still fine, right? Because we're putting our opponent in a position of saying, you need to find a switch to kill me. Yeah, no, this is fine. I realize now this is totally fine, because they need to find a switch in order to knock me out. Well, no, they need to find a switch regardless so they survive this turn. They're down 2 switches already. That's their 3rd switch used. So now next turn what I can just do if I need to is I can boss their Eternatus and get a free knockout, which is pretty solid. The Assault Gate will not be enough to kill me, which is an interesting choice by my opponent. I guess it's their way of saying, well, if you don't have a switch, and you also get knocked out, which is fair. But what I can just do in response to that is attach an energy here and boss up his Eternatus and say, well, I'm just going to double down. And that's probably checkmate. I don't know. I don't know what he can do in response to this. So. I'll take my 3 prizes, and I'm like a boss away from winning regardless, so it doesn't matter. So I think I just put a Crobat active because it doesn't matter, since he's allowing free retreat. And because he doesn't have enough Toxicroaks in play, there's no way he can win this turn. So I just put Crobat up, and we're cool, because next turn I just evolved the last Krogunk into a Toxicroak anyway. I could have put the Slowbro up, but I guess I was a little bit worried. I probably should have put the Slowbro up in hindsight. But then again, there's nothing he can put in play right now that doesn't die to Dread End, and I need 1 prize. So it doesn't matter. Like, I put up a free retreater and just set myself that way. The smart play, though, would have been to put Slowbro in the active, because it would have allowed me to guaranteed beat anything on his board if he had to evolve into a VMAX. I think that's the reason why I put Crobat up, though, was because I must have thought that he had something in play already. So he's going to bring up a Croak. Okay, so he's going to play around the fact that I can't retreat. That's his last switch, and he's just going for a knockout, and can't bench an Eternatus. So I have a lot of energy left in my deck and only 20 cards left. Yeah, it's a bit of a yikes by my opponent. Not great. He can kill me, but he chooses to pass instead, which is respectable. I don't blame him for doing that. I do have 1 switch left in deck as well, so I think the play is just evolving here. I will combat this Krogunk. I guess just to grab a Crobat and see some more cards with it. Maybe I'll find an energy or something, who knows. Find a Great Ball. I don't think there's anything applicable to find with Great Ball, but I'll use it. It's more or less just thinning out cards. I see there's a switch in deck, so I'm looking for switch plus energy off of 16 cards. We don't get it, but we do find it's for a basic Pokemon, right? Yeah, so can that do anything? No, there is no way I can win this turn, unfortunately. That's fine though. I think all I just do is I Turbo Patch regardless. Oh no, I failed. And then I think all I do is just attach here and pass and say, alright, well, you can't win. It doesn't, yeah. There's no way my opponent can win. So this is fine. There's no way to extend his bench. He's going to boss up probably the other Croak. Yep. And pass. And then I just attach. It was never going to be difficult. Yeah, like, he acts surprised and I'm just there like, well, I have energy. So, yeah, that I think was more than enough evolutions to get my Eternal Night challenge completed. And I feel pretty happy with how that went with the deck. Definitely feel like the Poison variant has its big merit right now. It felt pretty strong against all the things. I definitely obviously didn't play things like the Peak or Luke Metal, which would have been interesting, but I think that this variant can deal with that really well, with the fact that you've got the Sableye, the Poison, as well as the Turbo Patches to rebound from the Crushing Hammer. I think is just way too good to refuse. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to keep on pumping out a video every couple of days, just trying to highlight different decks that I'm thinking about for the Players' Cup. Just if I see any cool decks that people are using, I'm going to try and build those. But yeah, probably the next video I'll be doing is on ADP. It definitely feels like a strong contender. These are the 5 decks that I've currently got in position. So it's ADP, Eternatus, Luke Metal, Pikarom, or Whimsicott. Whimsicott's a bit of a wild card. I still got to build things like Center Scorch and everything else, and they will come in due time. But these are the ones I have built for now. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Levert.